For decades, the First and Ninth Circuits have been among the most activist courts in America. Too often wrong on the law, too often hostile to the Constitution, and too often willing to substitute their own left-wing politics for the rule of law. The Ninth Circuit is notorious for its extreme activism and wildly incorrect rulings.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Will and welcome to Copper Jacket TV. So today I've got some good news for anybody that lives in a state that is covered by the jurisdiction of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and that is a huge area. The Ninth Circuit covers Montana, Idaho, Arizona, Nevada, California, Washington, Oregon, and even Alaska. So it is, again, a massive population that is covered by the Ninth Circuit. And so when the Ninth Circuit makes a stupid decision, which they do quite often, it has an effect on a lot of people. As a matter of fact, the Ninth Circuit is one of the most overturned courts in the entire country. So today's news, I think, could have a big impact on your rights moving forward. Let's talk about what's going on. Now, real quick before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's already subscribed. And if you're watching this video and you've not yet subscribed, consider it. It's free, it only takes a second, and it really does help us out here quite a bit. It helps us spread our message, and it lets the powers that be know that you guys want to see content like this, which allows us to stay on the platform. So, again, thank you to everyone who subscribes. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, why this is so exciting, and why I think this is going to have a direct effect on your Second Amendment rights. Now, like I was saying in the beginning, the Ninth Circuit is one of the most overturned courts in the entire country, and that's because there are quite a few judicial activists on that court. These are people who care more about upholding their personal agenda than actually upholding the rule of law and the text of the Constitution. And so when cases get appealed to the Supreme Court, they are likely to be overturned because of that reason. The Ninth Circuit loves to side with the state whenever it comes to any of their, liberal policies. So the Ninth Circuit, again, is overturned a lot. Well, thankfully, the Ninth Circuit has become a little bit more conservative over the years. That's thanks to judicial nominations from President Trump. As a matter of fact, Judge Van Dyke, he's kind of become a star of the Ninth Circuit for the Second Amendment. He's the same judge that gave the video dissent in Duncan v. Bonta, which kind of showed the breakdown of different things and parts and why they matter and so forth. He was appointed by Trump. And with that being said, the exciting news is that it looks like we have yet another pro-Second Amendment judge, not just conservative, but actually pro-Second Amendment judge being considered for the Ninth Circuit. His name is Eric Tung, and he just had one of his hearings today. This is a guy who is a member, and has been a member for the past half decade now, of the IDPA. Now, when a judge gets nominated to an appointment like this, they get a questionnaire that they have to fill out. This is his right here. On that questionnaire, it asks things like, where did you go to school? Who'd you clerk for? What cases have you worked on? Are you a member of any clubs or associations? Things like that. And then it gets distributed to the Judiciary Committee. And as you look right here, it actually says that he's been a member of the IDPA, the International Defensive Pistol Association, since 2020. Now, on top of being a member of the IDPA, he is a lot like Judge Roger T. Benitez, that people in California absolutely love, because he is somebody who believes in the text and the history of the Constitution and the founding of the country, a lot like Judge Van Dyke as well. As a matter of fact, this is his statement on the matter.
Thank you, Senator. Originalism is the method of interpreting the Constitution that looks to the original public meaning of the text when it was ratified. It gives the power to the people and not to unelected judges who have life tenure. It prevents judges, ideally, from indulging in their personal policy preferences, and it requires them to stick to the text and history and the original meaning of the Constitution when it was ratified.
So you can see right there, when it comes to the courts at least, he is a traditionalist. He believes in text, history, and tradition, and he believes that today's laws should be rooted in the founding era and the text of the Constitution, which is extremely important and exactly what is needed at the Ninth Circuit, especially when it comes to our Second Amendment rights, which are being infringed on a daily basis, and the Ninth Circuit is constantly siding with the state of California. Now, there were a lot of reasons that people put Trump in office. One of the biggest reasons, however, is exactly this. judicial nominations. You never know when somebody's going to leave the Supreme Court. You never know when somebody's going to leave one of the appellate courts. We have a position open at the Ninth Circuit, and it's now being filled with somebody who actually believes in the Constitution and our Second Amendment rights, and that gives us a little bit of hope. As a matter of fact, it was kind of a joint conference with somebody else that was being considered for the First Circuit as well. These are two courts that are notorious for being overturned, and these are two conservatives being nominated to those two courts. So again, the way that you can make change here is by changing the makeup of these appellate courts so that we have more people who actually believe in our founding documents than we did before. And as we see it, it is slowly happening. We're slowly getting more and more judges onto the Ninth Circuit and other circuit courts that are going to make some pretty big changes across this country. But especially when it comes to the Ninth Circuit, a court that openly, just absolutely just cannot stand the Second Amendment, we need more of this. So chances are, if you see Eric Tung's name later on down the road, if he is confirmed, and I think he will be just based on the majority, but if he is confirmed and you see his name on a case down the road, hopefully we have an ally on our side for that case. So I wanted to let you know about that, because the more conservatives and the more pro-2A people we can actually get on the bench, the better it is for generations to come. And so seeing this shift is a good feeling, but we'll see what he does when he actually gets there, because everybody can talk a good game until they actually get on the bench, and we'll see what happens after that. But I'll keep you updated. I'll let you know if his confirmation actually goes through and what happens from then on out. Anyway, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. The thumbs up's always appreciated. Y'all have a great day.